Yeah.
Everybody?
Reach out to them.
I would just like to say, we're gonna record this. I'm using a mic, the only way I can do it off the camcorder. So anything you say in the audience will be heard and recorded. And we don't edit.
Thank you.
Right. I know, I just wonder how late it's gonna be, because how long they're gonna be there. Yeah, I know, it's gonna be stuck. Which is fine now.
Yeah, that might have to go out.
There's a sign-in sheet, so hopefully it's still working its way around. Then we just print their name and then their email address. That way, if there's material or anything that you would like, we know how to get a hold of you.
This would be for your minutes too.
Yes.
Hey. Hey.
Good morning, Drew.
Hey, oh, thank you. Good, thank you.
Oh, I gotta talk to you afterwards.
Yep.
Can we shut off these lights when we get going? Okay. You see what's happening, it's not picking it up. With the lights overhead.
Then it's okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Stephen Walker. I'm the chairman of the New Lebanon Building Committee. First of all, thank you all for coming. There's a sign-in sheet. If you can sign in, print your name, email address. That way, if there's information from today or follow-up, we know how to get a hold of you, and then we can get out some information the other way. First, in remembrance of Veterans Day, I'd ask you all to stand, Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is to my right, your left. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So a little bit sort of segueing from Veterans Day, I know there are a bunch of events occurring in the town of Greenwich, one of which I believe is at 9:30 on Greenwich Avenue. So the way we've set today up is we have a couple administrative things to take care of, which will take about 5-10 minutes. We will then turn it over to the team from Tyson Kim. I'll introduce them in a few minutes. And then that presentation will be about 45 minutes, an hour or so. The committee has then set up a meeting for Monday evening at 7 o'clock to go over questions and answers with Tai Soo Kim, and we then anticipate taking our vote on the various options on next Wednesday, a week from today. So that's sort of where we are in terms of the process and in terms of how we're going to deal with both today, Monday, and then the following Wednesday. What will happen is the committee will get together questions individually, send them in to me. We will then sit down with Tai Soo Kim Monday evening and go over those questions, follow-up questions, answers, so that we're prepared on the following Wednesday, presumably, to make our decision. Besides Veterans Day, there's another special event. It's our selectman's birthday, Drew Marzullo. So we won't sing, but maybe just a round of applause. Happy birthday. This meeting is being recorded on Greenwich GCTV, if I have that right.
That's correct.
And that was done because, so that everyone can see what we're talking about and hear directly the presentations and the options that are going forward. Don, do you know when this will first air?
It most likely be next week.
Okay, so
We'll fit it in one of the time slots next week.
Okay, so hopefully that will air earlier in the week so that people can see it before our vote, which is obviously then Wednesday. Okay. First, can I get a quick update from the subcontract subcommittee on the CM RFP and contract? It was dropped yesterday. Claire, do you want to just refresh about the timing of when things are coming in? Do you remember them?
Yeah, as best as I can recall. Okay, so the construction manager, the CM RFP, was released yesterday. The proposals, they have 12 business days to come back. The proposals are going to be opened on the 25th, and our projected date for interviewing is December 7th or 8th. And I believe that the plan is to make a vote by the meeting on the 9th.
Okay. So again, that's our timeline. It's about a week off from what we discussed last week just because of the timing and the dropping of the RFP. Again, this is for the CM, and hopefully then we'll get their cost estimates in conjunction with Tai Soo Kim's cost estimates to ultimately get it to the BET for their budget process.
That is posted to the GPS purchasing department's website, and I believe the interdates in between are all questions by bidders is due by the 19th, and the answers are due from the committee. All addenda must be issued by noon on the 20th.
Why don't we just, so I know there's a lot of, the committee is here obviously, and members of the public, which we don't normally have as big of a group. Why don't we just take 2 minutes, starting from my left, front row going back, committee members, if you can just stand and introduce yourself.
Tony Turner, I'm the RTM representative.
Peter Bernstein, Board of Ed representative.
Claire Kilgallen, voting member.
Patricia Kantorsky, I'm also the clerk of the committee.
Barbara O'Neill, ex officio member.
Jake Allen, member.
Brian Harris, voting member.
Dean Goss, a member.
Bill Drake, I'm the vice chairman.
Will Schwartz, DPW. Jim Marzullo, ex officio, and I represent the Board of Selectmen.
Nick McRae, planning and zoning. Good morning, Jim Rickey, ex officio, Board of Education.
And I see also we have members of the BET here, other members of the Board of Ed and the press. And RTM, thank you. Okay. Jake, you have an update on the schedule, you're just working it through?
Yes.
Okay. First quarter report by the communications subcommittee, that was provided to all the committee members previously. Any amendments to that? I have two. Paragraph 1B, it says the anticipated contract price is, it says 1.91, that's 1.99. And on the last page, last sentence, it says plans for the November 1st NLBC meeting, that should be 11th, not the 1st. Are there any objections to those amendments? Can we approve these minutes as amended?
Approved as amended?
Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Bernstein. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We'll skip the meeting minutes for today to move straight to the presentation by Tai-Soo Kim. With us today, I'm going to test my own memory. So we have 4 individuals from Tai-Soo Kim. Tai-Soo Kim himself, Richard Sipik, Jesse Saylor, and Christine O'Hare, who will be the main individuals assigned to this project, and the ones who are the driving force behind presenting both the options and then carrying us through the construction of this. So welcome, good morning, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks very much. Well, we've prepared some material that we want to share with you this morning. It's going to be a PowerPoint presentation plus some models that you see here. These 4 scenarios that we're going to talk about this morning represent about half of the schematic effort. We still have a ways to go, which will probably continue through the end of December or thereabouts. Now, we feel that we have developed these 4 scenarios enough so that we're confident that any of them we could make work. We've drafted each plan very carefully and to scale. We've compared that to the ed specs, the listing of rooms, the program, if you will, and we made sure that each of these options does fulfill the educational program. We did compare them from a cost standpoint. And I will tell you now that the cost differential between these options is very, very close. So how are you going to make a decision? There are a number of other criteria that you should be considering. Now, I prepared a score sheet, if you will, based upon my own evaluation. But I would like the committee to look at that score sheet and then decide whether they want to use that or they want to amend it. But all of the other criteria are important in the decision. Some of you may say that the cost is the most important. Some of you may say some of the other criteria is most important. It's up for the committee to determine how they want to do the evaluation. Okay, just to bring you up to speed a little bit. This is the aerial photograph. If you haven't seen it from the sky, this is what it looks like. No, the other switch in back. We have had our surveyors go out and do some supplemental survey work. They've actually done quite a bit of work, but we are going to send them back again. The surveyors did discover at this end of the site, where the site meets the street, there is a culvert, and there's a 42-inch pipe. Now, it appears that that pipe is plugged, which has an impact on the drainage of this site. So they're going to determine where that pipe goes, and that's going to become important when they meet with the town engineer and do their runoff calculations. So that information is still forthcoming. They also went back and established where the boundaries of the wetlands are. They put flags on the site, and so we're expecting to get that information very quickly. That will be incorporated into the site plan. So here's a preview of the options score sheet. This is for factors other than cost. So one of the criteria I believe should be program arrangement. It's one thing to be able to fit the program into the footprints, but it's another thing if the program arrangement makes sense. Size of playgrounds, parking capacity, bus queuing capacity, whether or not the gym is connected to the play field that's across the street. So for some people that's important. Car queuing capacity, sight lines for security. Obviously the perimeter of the building, the geometry of the perimeter is a factor in being able to see around the building by first responders. So sight lines for security. Interior cohesiveness, what does that mean? Well, that means that the building feels like a complete configuration, like a whole, like a, if you will, an object that was well thought out. That's what I mean by cohesive. It is not fragmented pieces. avoids pupil dislocation. Now, I put that as a criteria here. We were told very early on that really isn't part of our job. You shouldn't be considering that, but somebody's going to be considering that. So I think that that's a criteria that you should deliberate. Number 10 is efficiency. That's the gross to net ratio. And then next is minimum disturbance to the playfield. Some of these scenarios will require a staging area for construction, and the most likely staging area will be the playfield. So that playfield restoration will be a factor for some of the options. Potential market appeal. Think of that as the wow effect. You are trying to attract parents to the school. There's got to be something about it other than the program so that when they come into the building they say, wow, this is a great facility, I would like my children to come here. Some of these have a greater potential than others. And then construction duration. One of the options has a greater construction duration than the others, which we'll get into and explain as we proceed. Okay, I would like to turn it over. The rest of the presentation will be done by Tai-Soo and by Jesse, so I'd like to turn it over to Tai-Soo to talk about option 1.
Can you turn the mic on? Good morning. Well, our staff worked late last night, just finished. We packed and enjoyed it over. Just like school. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you 2 schemes, and Jesse is going to explain third one. First, I'm going to show you model on here, and then explain on screen how internal organization work, and then go back to model again and plan. So that would be the sequence. So let me start. This is existing site. Can you see this thing? Okay. This is the existing building right here. It's about 30,000 square feet. And then you can see it's sitting on a high plateau kind of land, and then there is a drop here. The difference between here and this high point is about 25 feet. It's about 35 here, and this is about 61 and that. So the first question we asked when we looked at your project, can we build the school without removing existing school? Because that makes it so much easier for town, not moving student out. So we've done that many times, many different schools. Keep existing school, build a new school, and after completed, and students just move right in to a new school, and we demolish existing and finish site work. So that's first question we asked, can we do it? And the answer was, yes, we can. So first option 1 is that effort, how we can do that. So as I said, this is the elevation about 61, and we are thinking about 2 stories high building. So one is from here higher up, and the other level is, lower level is floor lower. So let's say one floor to floor is 14 feet. That means it's 61. We're talking about lower level is about 47, elevation 47. So we have to raise this whole land about 10 to 12 feet high to put the ground floor, first floor on here. So it's not the building just sink into this lower land. That's not the case. We are raising the whole thing up about 12 feet. So the idea was, what's the best way to build that kind of structure? So as I said, low level is 47, right? So I drew the line at the 45. That would be the easiest way to build. 45 elevation, build the foundation, and that would be the first floor. So I will show you what that is. Oops, the other way around. Okay. Is that all right? Okay. So, you see, this line, why is this line? Just follow the existing contour. That's the shape of land shape. So, this is 46, elevation 46. So we raised the whole building about 10 to 12 feet from the lowest point and created this massing. I explained to you from floor plan, the organization, but basically this is the atrium, cafeteria, and service will coming in this way, and gym is here, close to this field. So that's a lower level. The upper level will be the other one.
This is like a test.
The puzzle. See, like this. So this upper level is same elevation with this one. Now, we have to get from here to there. I want this parking, everything out here. So we want to throw a bridge here, but there is an existing building here. So I would say after this building is complete, school will be used from this side of the entrance. And after that, we can remove that and build this bridge.
Richard, just watch the books in the back.
Yeah, thank you. This is very precarious. We didn't bring the structural engineer.
Okay. So that will be the sequence. So it's a very smooth transition of existing building to construct a new structure. This one here. I mark the corners.
Now, Richard, just so I understand this, so as people start talking about or thinking about, this is considered to be your option one?
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I want to keep those consistent as we move along.
So
They will be. Yeah.
Okay.
after this existing building is removed, we can use the entire site for bus drop-off, very generous bus drop-off, parking here, and parent pickup all here, and very large play area here, and service entrance here, and the security driveway can be constructed like this. So to me, it's a very simple, elegant solution and very compact. And I think arriving from here, you see this building very low, small scale, it's wonderful feeling for children. So let me explain from the floor plan, more of a internal organization. Well, this is a site plan, this is a building block, right? And the relationship to existing is shown as red dotted. So there's enough distance. This is easily constructed, and probably afterwards we throw this bridge.
So we wanted to compare it to
Right.
option D revised.
This is option D, we call this, option D floor plate. So I know you are concerned about how is this relate to option D, or is it option D is within the scope of option D. In some way it is because it's overlap one end. But we're not doing upper part. It's doing this way, we can keep the building while new buildings built. Next. So here is the site plan again. Explain to you, we're using existing driveway. Now, right now it's very steep here because circle is here. Now we have a longer drive, so we can create very generous slope and very large bus loop. And there's 87 parkings over there, and a very long queue line parent pickup.
Again, I want to point out for the members of the committee that that driveway is 3 lanes in this proposal. There's a queue lane, there's another passing lane, and then there's a bus lane. And so the traffic can be managed coming in very nicely, and then exiting, they can be exited very nicely. We can talk later about whether the buses should take a left or a right when they exit, but this tries to get all of the circulation correct. Right now, it's very, very tight.
Now, so a large play area is up at this end. So there are 2 entrances. One here, this bridge, into pre-K and kindergarten. I think it's nice to have pre-K, kindergarten separate entrance. And this one is main school entrance. It's right here. This, I'll explain to you later, but I represent kind of wonderful skylight bringing to media center and cafeteria area. Hold it. So this is a service here, and additional play area here, and as I showed to you, this is the gym. So gym is very close to this field, and also this play area is very close to this play area. Now, from this administration is right here. Be able to observe the entire site very easily. It's not hidden something, it's very open. And I think it's wonderful to arrive to school, be able to see everything in front of you. Okay, this is the floor plan. This is the main entrance here. There's a blue color is administration, and art studio is right next here. And that side is pre-K and kindergarten, and separate entrance coming in here. There's a sort of wonderful view looking out to a wooded area here, and this is a very generous space for parents waiting and so on, and open stair going downstairs. First, second grade are here. So it is very compact, and the media library is right in the middle. As I showed you here, it will be higher ceiling with a skylight. And from here, you really will think a lot of glass introduced, so it's all open. And so this whole area is very open kind of feeling. And so as Richard said, cohesive means you come in very easily understandable entire school, and that what's build a feeling of community and the school to understand easily what the school look like, rather than a lot of corridors. The low level going down this stair or this stair, it really from upstairs you're looking down this wonderful cafeteria. I think it's good to cafeteria be the center of a school, and use many different ways, not just cafeteria during the lunchtime, by creating this community center kind of cafeteria. And you can use it as education or meetings, you name it, all kinds of things, rather than just cafeteria. Now, kitchen is here, probably silverware will be created, and somewhere here, so service here nicely, and this is a service area. Now, this is a gym, very large gym, and has a separate entrance. Entrance is here in the stage, and right next to the stage and gym we have a music instrument room. And the low level, 3, 4, grade 5 are there here, and science and some of the small the rooms here. Now, as I said before, we raised about 10 to 12 feet high from lowest point, and we're probably gonna fill a little bit of this steep slope, and so you have access on both sides. This be able to go. So from here there to a relatively flat area we can create, because filling it back. So you really not gonna feel it's a deep hole. Here's a section I was explaining. This is this elevation is 46, and foundation is right at the existing point, really easy. And then we have a small mechanical room, and this is kind of crawl space. Whether it's crawl space, filling, that will be decided by the cost-wise, which one is cheaper, we don't know yet. And so you see a section, cafeteria, 2 stories high, open, skylight above, and here's a bridge, administrative here, music, and etc. This is longitudinal section cuts through right around here. You can see from here, gymnasium and cafeteria, and mechanical room below, and then media right in the upper part, and then here, this is pre-K kindergarten's lounge area, looking out to a wonderful view to the south side. Okay, I will. This is any question about this option 1? Okay. Okay, so we're gonna remove this. Can you turn the lights on, please? Well, maybe.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll take this minute though to say, I'm gonna pass this around again. This is a sign-in sheet. If you've already obviously signed in, that's fine. If not, if you give us your email address, we can send you the documents that we have. So we can get that to you electronically. So if you haven't done so, I'll send this around again. If you can please sign in.
Yes.
So that, in my eyes, that option would be scheme C, based on what scheme C would have been. Would that look like scheme C without the woodland being in the playground? That's putting the building where the ravine, am I right, Selectman?
We're gonna get into that.
So I'm not sure what the question is. So we weren't involved in that. And again, question and answers we'll deal with on Monday for the most part. If you have questions, again, email them to me. We'll get them to Tai Soo Kim in terms of where we are with the questions regarding each option.
Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Okay, this option B is really, we were asked to look at this plan, which was endorsed by Board of Education, I understand it, and see how this is going to work. And our understanding of this plan is this is 2 stories high, this is 3 stories high. So we, based on that, we did layout, and instead of this U shape like this, we created much more simpler bar building because of we look at this. We don't know which one is the main entrance. Where is the bus drop? Is it here or is it here? We don't know that. So we had to create our own interpretation of this scale D and make it work. And what we did is, by doing this way, we create this upper part, this main entrance, and the bus drop off is here. And so you see this is 2 stories high, this is 3 stories high. And so the site plan wise, I said before, this is existing building, so you really have to demolish the existing building before you even start any construction. So that's one task you have to do. Remove the existing building right away. First. And here is a bus drop off. It's a very tight, but it's doable. And then parking is here, 52. And the queuing line is all along here, and play area end up this end and the other end. It's a very small play area, and the service will be way back to this side. This approach will be really challenging because there's a steep hill here, and we have additional parking here. So that's the way we laid it out, this option D. And as you can see, this model-wise, this is bar and this is 3 stories high building. Next. Okay, layout. You will see 3 stories high for elementary school is very challenging because state courts say that first grade and pre-K kindergarten should be on grade level, and for other facilities such as the cafeteria, gymnasium should be close proximity. But 3-story means some student has to go 2 floors down to get there. But again, we have 2 entrances. Main entrance is here. Here is administrations. And main entrance, the first grade is right here. And there is a second entrance to pre-K and kindergarten, very long. And have a door here going outside. And we place the cafeteria at this level. And the kitchen here.
That's the middle level.
Yeah, mid-level. So we really need an elevator to bring the services up from the lower level. That's where the access is. And this is 2 stories high gymnasium. So this is the lower level. Access is from upper part up here. And so receiving and so on will be happening here, and there will be an elevator that will bring up. Okay. And then 2 music room right next to gym. Gym is close to field and has separate entrance here. And then upper level, top floor. So it's a level 3, I would say. And you come up the stair here or over there. And this is classroom wing, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, 5th floor here, and small support facilities here. And media is back here above gymnasium. And that's another challenge because we have about 60 feet span, and as you know, library need a very heavy load, so it is a little doable, but it's, we don't like to do it because it's a heavy, long span thing. And then art, science, some reading, and so on in top floor. So it is. This is the layout, and my comment would be, it is very typical school layout: long corridor, double loaded, and it really does not have cohesive community building kind of feeling. It's not. I will use wow effect.
Okay.
So this is the section. You can see upper level here, up here, 2 stories high. And then there is a drop slope here, and we're building against here this 3 stories high structure, and there is a gymnasium. Again, this level should be about 46, so we need to fill it or stilts and build up here, and media is above the gymnasium and other facilities. So, I mean, we have laid out how the scheme work. Yes, we can do it. As I showed to you, there are a number of I guess handicap or difficulties making it a very exciting school. Okay,
Okay.
with that,
Would you like to
I
move
see
to
that
option 2, and
option 2.
you can sit down, I
Jesse
assume,
talk about,
and
yeah.
Jesse will do option 2. And I should say that option 2, there are 2 scenarios for option 2, so we're going to call them option 2A and option 2B, which Jesse will explain.
So just to clarify, that option scheme D revised is not your option 2.
It's
No,
not.
scheme D revised.
It's, we're still calling it scheme D revised for the sake of consistency. We could build all 3. That's another option, and then think about it.
Okay.
Pull out the checkbook.
Okay, in option 2, we pick up kind of the general idea of scheme D revised, and that we're building on the upper site. However, we took more liberties with the overall footprint, so we could move away from the 3-story building and improve some of that interior cohesiveness, as Tyson described. So this site diagram shows the lower site and the upper site, and the steep slope that runs between them, which is difficult to build on. And part of the problem of your site is how do you come up with a centered, cohesive interior in this situation. Option 2, the idea is we'll push at the center of these 2 building sites and make the center stronger in the scheme, reduce travel distance, and tie the building together in that way. So we're jumping right into the floor plan of the main level in option 2. Now this floor plan has the biggest footprint of any of the options we're presenting. And there's an advantage there because you find most of your program ends up on this one level, which in terms of interior cohesiveness is great. Your pre-K, kindergarten, and 1st grade do not need to use stairs to go to their specials, art or music, or to the cafeteria, or to their play areas. So back to the center idea. At the center of the building, we have the media center. That's not going to work. The media center, because it's an IB school, and your ed spec calls for that to be centered, and it makes sense for your program. We also have an outdoor learning courtyard, which is part of the media center, allows it to go outside and have learning experience out in good weather, but it also connects it visually to the community. You can see the environment around the building from there through these glass corridors. It's also an inexpensive way to build on the slope because it's really just a platform. We don't have as many footings or columns in that case. So what do we build on the upper site in this scheme? Because we're doing it. In the center, we put the administration suite. We have the main entry here with reception and a waiting room that views the courtyard. We also have the principal's office, the assistant principal, right in the center, and they can view the entire upper site. So there's very good sight lines to the upper site. And also, we built the pre-K and the kindergarten classrooms there. This gives them kind of separate identity. Someone who's considering enrolling their student in this magnet program will know where they're going to be right away. You'll see them right in front, and that's really an advantage. Also, they have their separate entry here, right off of the parent drop-off, the vehicular drop-off, which is convenient, and their play area is here, right outside. Then the third element we put on the upper site, which is really where the building is most visible to the community, is the gym and auditorium. Now this is a little bit taller space, as you can see in the model, and so the advantage of putting that there is from Meade Avenue, from your main road, you'll be able to see that we have a new building behind. As you look down the road, you'll see something, and I think that's an advantage. Actually, it'll draw people to the school as a new facility. And then as we look to the east, this building is a two-story building. We're taking advantage of that lower site. We have a first grade pod at the north end with a wider corridor there, which allows for display of student work. It's sort of a breakout area when parents come, they can see what's going on and congregate there potentially. We also have the cafeteria and kitchen, which is on the same level as the play areas, so that's advantageous for recess, which is something you're always connecting, cafeteria and play. Again, we have the situation where the kitchen is on the floor above the service, which is below. You can see the drive coming in below. So we have this shared elevator, and we can look down. When we get to the lower level plan, we'll see that. And then we have art, science, music, and instrumental music, all of your special instruction all together in one of the pods. Going to move to the lower level plan. The lower level plan is your general academic. You have 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade in each of the pods, the wings. And then in the very center, you have your core spaces, you have your receiving, your loading dock, your custodial, their lockers, general storage, and then toward the back we have your mechanical space and space that doesn't get as much daylight. We also have an entry at that side. That would be your staff parking there. That's also the way that you would access the play field across the street. Looking at the site plan. Anytime we build on the upper site, as we're doing in both option D and in option 2, we have to prioritize what we do with the upper site, because we want to have all this stuff going on there. And so the first decision I already mentioned was to move the staff parking down to the lower level, because we think that could work. Generally the cars are there throughout the day, so why do we have them at this precious upper site? Second prioritization is with the bus loop. Both option D and option 2 have a smaller bus loop than option 1. Now, we've spoken to you and we understand that you currently run 2 buses for 20 magnet students who are attending the school currently. And the plan is to bring that up to 50 magnet students for this school of 374 total population. So this bus loop supports 4 full-size buses and 1 shuttle bus, which we think is sufficient for the entire 50 students. I mean, you could put 50 students on 1 full-size bus, but the way it works out, it requires multiple buses, so that will fit there. Now, with what this scheme does allow for is the largest vehicular drop-off length of any of the schemes. It's very close to option 1, frankly, but we're emphasizing that in that you have, in a bad weather morning, you have many of those students who are walkers get dropped off, and so that's an important traffic concern. It also has the wider 3-lane entry that we mentioned when we were speaking of option 1. Actually, all 3 options will have that. That's just a good idea. So, as I mentioned before, play for pre-K and kindergarten and 1st through 5th grade are on the upper level. They're locations proximate to the building in this scheme. Services is in the back. There's also security access around the building and good clearance to the wetlands to get access to the south side. continue on. This section shows how the building works with the natural slope of the land. You would enter here on the upper slope under this canopy, being the administration areas. The courtyard, as I mentioned, is more of a platform over the slope, but some portions of the building, mechanical space, are actually cut into the slope, which generates fill that we can support the lower level slabs with, and the receiving area and loading dock actually steps down there. So trying to reduce the amount of fill space that we have. So what I presented so far was option 2. It was 2A. It could also the difference between 2A and 2B is because option 2, like D, is putting building on the upper site in place of where you currently have a building. So to do that, you have to do something while you're in construction. 2A is similar to D, in that the students are relocated off-site, and I think it's something that's been discussed, and it may just be the way to go. But 2 has an alternative to this, which we call 2B, and this is the phased construction alternative. It's not something we see with option D because of the way the square footage works out between what's on the lower level and what's on the upper level. So your existing building is 30,000 square feet roughly. The first phase, we would build the lower level. That's 38,000 square feet. You could potentially then move your whole program into that new building at approximately the size it is now. And then you could start to develop the upper level, which is really your expansion. Access to the lower level would be through that staff parking lot and drop off. So the weighing the pros and cons of this approach, you would then build the upper level and have a complete building, which is the site plan I already showed. The pros and cons would be, this would be a longer construction schedule, another 12 months on top of your 18-month construction schedule, which is a con. A pro is you get to keep the students on the site. They just move over to the new building, which may be advantageous. I think that's where I'm going to stop.
Sarah, question?
Yes.
Are the walls here really solid?
No, I should talk about that. The exterior elevation still needs to be developed as well as a selection of material, the color palette for the exterior. We would like to pursue that with the preferred option after today, or after the 18th, I should say. This chart illustrates why I said earlier that cost is not going to be a significant factor, because the difference between them is not that significant. First, I'd like to call your attention to line 10, the total project budget. I'm confident you could build all of these schemes, or any of these schemes, for that budget of $32.8 million. But within that budget, there are differences. So for example, in option 1, you'll see that there's quite a bit more rock and earthwork, because there's going to be more activity in that area. Although there's some in 2A and 2B, it's less than D revised. D revised has the least amount of earthwork. Another variation is that because of the extended duration of option 2B, you'll see that there's a higher escalation factor here. So that increases the construction cost. So how do you make up the difference? The difference is in the owner's contingency, if you look at line 9. The owner's contingency is flexible, and as we develop the design, the contingency will be shrinking. It will be reduced as we define the parameters of the project more accurately. At this stage of the game, I would recommend you carry about a 15% contingency, because there's so many unknowns. At the end of schematic design, we may drop that to 10 to 12%, depending upon how much has been defined. And at the end of design development, we can drop it again to 7.5%, and then before we go out to bid, I would recommend you carry about 5% in owner's contingency. That contingency is separate from lines 4A and 4B. We're carrying 5% and 5% for design contingency, for some uncertainties, as well as an estimating contingency. So there's a fair amount of contingency in here. But if you look just at the owner's contingency, the greatest contingency available will be an option D revised at 17% today. And then option 2A, and 2A is 16%, option 1 is 15%. And option 2B is 15%. It's less than 2A because of the escalation costs and because of the extended duration. If you look at the top, or the second line, the new building completion, we're anticipating the completion of, in other words, the school occupancy, not the complete site work, which will have to follow, but the school occupancy could be achieved by September 2018 for the first 3 options, and then option 2B, as we indicated earlier, would be a year later before you have the complete building done. You'd have a portion of it done in 2018, but the complete building will be done in 2019. Now, the extended duration, if you look at line 11, we're estimating because of the extended 12 months for option 2B, you should carry $122,000 per month. This is the project superintendent, this is the trailer, this is all the kinds of overhead on the site that the contractors will have to carry. And I know we weren't told, don't consider the swing space for the temporary classrooms or modular classrooms in line 12. I put it in here anyway so that you can see the differences. In option D revised, it's required, not in option 1. In option 2A, it's required, not in option 2B. So the very bottom is the total potential cost. I hope that's clear. Okay, I stuck my neck out and I said, you know that score sheet I showed you in the beginning? I'm going to score it. And so what I did is I used 1 as what I think is my preferred option, and 2 is the second best, 3rd is the 3rd best. So looking across at these scores along every line in the criteria I had mentioned before, this is how I would score them. Your scores may vary, we know that. Depending on your perspective of values in this score sheet. But as you can see, I've indicated in this score sheet for your benefit the square footage of the playground, so you can see the differences. The parking capacity, 75, 87, 85, 85. The bus queuing capacity, 5855. The car queuing capacity, 39, 41, 43. And 43. Interestingly, the efficiency, the net to gross ratio is about the same at this stage. So I'm not concerned about achieving your program and achieving an efficiency that makes sense. Number 12, potential market appeal. This is strictly a judgment, a personal judgment. I think option 1 has the greatest potential for the wow factor that we mentioned earlier. So that's how I would score it. Some people might say, well, I'm teaching to the test, but so be it. So that's the end of our formal presentation.